We have a question. How many of y'all did the pre-assignment for today's class? Did everyone do it?
No.
It was the one about identity and defining what identity is to you.
Yeah, I thought that was for next week.
Alright, yeah, so that was for, if you didn't do it, come talk to us after class.
No, I know.
Yeah, make sure you didn't take it out so you can be marked here for class. That's what it is. Take it away, JoJo. So today we're going to talk about inclusion. So just kind of breaking through, each week has been titled after one of our core values as a department. Does anyone know our four core values off the top of your head? Daniel?
Leadership, inclusion, community, and another one, learning. Yeah.
Good job. Yeah, so today is going to be inclusion. And this is also our last official class. And next week is capstone presentation week. We'll talk about capstone at the end. We're going to go ahead and jump in with inclusion. Okay, and now we have a video.
So remember that I'm not tech savvy, as I should be, and I can't do the speaking work, but I do have the closed captioning on. Can everybody see?
If you've ever stumbled into a conversation about racism, you've probably heard the phrase white privilege, which has been roughly employment since the phrase became commonplace in the 1960s. The concept of privilege isn't limited to race, but when it's brought up, no matter who you're talking to, too often the response is very frankly, privilege. How dare you? So what exactly is privilege, and why does talking about it make so many people so angry? Privilege is defined as a special right or advantage
on to our next activity. Can anybody tell me some of the community norms that we had when we first started on the very first day? Some of those norms that we set for us. Y'all remember what I'm talking about? Yes, sir.
Respecting others' opinions.
Mm-hmm. Any others?
The
Dan?
right to express yourself.
Open-mindedness.
Listening.
Any others?
Inclusivity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, count.
No judging.
All right, cool. So, can anybody tell me what a brave space is? Anybody? Don't all speak at once. Oh, it's so loud. Wait, slow down. What'd you say, Shay?
Is it like a place where you can speak your opinions, but kind of hard to speak without judgment?
Gotcha. So, the definition that we have is a brave space is a space where varying opinions are accepted and respected. Individuals in this space own their intentions and impacts while considering the experiences of others. So examples of community norms in the brave space, again, learning leaves, names and stories stay here. Share the air, allow everyone the opportunity to speak. Be the expert of your experience, use I statements. So you should never generalize when you're talking about other people, because you're really just talking about yourself. So I would never say all black people get their hair braided. It's not the case. All black people don't eat watermelon. I love watermelon.
I don't like
All
watermelon.
black people don't like chicken. I ain't a big fan. I'd rather have shrimp. But yeah, so when you're making statements, just making sure you are able to speak from your experience and don't try to speak about others or guessing what you think you know. Or saying what you think you know. So we are going to pass out a matching game.
But before we jump into that, does anyone have any questions about brave spaces or the video we just watched?
Yeah.
Here's that. I'll take the back, you take the front. You took the other one off?
Yeah.
Yes, I did. So just take about 5-10 minutes and then draw a line and connect the words with definition, and we'll go over the correct answer.
Thank you.
I don't know how y'all want to rock, paper, scissors for it. Joey has a little coming though.
You need someone? Oh, that was just enough.
Okay, perfect. Just need to double check so it didn't get lost.
Quality is they have like other situations that present danger to them that might not present the same kind of danger to me. I just like I think about it a lot, but like if I'm distressed in the summer and I'm like in the walk or in my neighborhood, I can. I'm not exactly thinking like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen when I'm on this walk? Of course there's still like safety concerns for everyone. But like I just like I think about like, oh well if like I was a girl or if a girl just wanted to walk by herself at night, like that's a whole different situation. It's like weird to think about.
I believe it's harder to identify with your privilege when people discredit you for your hard work. And it made me think of a quote that Von Miller said. He was like, I may have been born with that physique being an NFL player, but don't ever discredit me for all my hard work because that's why I'm staying here today. And I absolutely love that quote because people look at you and they will put you in a certain group immediately. They don't know your backstory, they don't know how many jobs you worked, they don't know how much hard work you put in to be where you are today.
For me, like, it was a denial thing, like, more than anything. Like, I tried, like, denying it because it was almost embarrassing to watch. Kind of like he said, like, it was just like, it's embarrassing to like watch other people and see other people like struggle and see how hard they have to work for money, and like you get everything handed to you. Like, it's obviously not like my fault, but like it's just hard seeing that and being like, no, like I don't want that, like I'd rather have it the other way around, and like you really don't know how grateful you are, and like sometimes it's taken for granted, especially like watching other people like not have, and like I said, like have to work extra hard, and like both your parents have to work and stuff like that.
It found it kind of easy because I grew up in a place where people thought I would be normally marginalized in most of the categories. I would typically look like I'm being marginalized, but I'm privileged, and I see like my friends don't have both parents, but I have both of my parents there. We might have a big family, so they helped us out with finances, but we're still like in the lower working class. But I see all marginalized pretty much all the time, so I'm pretty grateful for all my privileges.
How could your identities influence community building? Okay. How can your identities influence community building? That.
Help just kind of bring like other people, like make them aware of other identities that they weren't as familiar with, like this activity and the other activities, so they were just kind of like saw like, oh, I didn't think that was like an issue or like a big topic. So just like being yourself and presenting that to other people who are probably different from you, just have a few things that are different from you. That just raises awareness about it.
Oh, Everett.
I was gonna say something about the area that I'm from isn't extremely like culturally and racially diverse. So like coming to UC, that was like more so presented with the opportunity to bond and talk to people of other cultures, and like that was one of the most enjoying. Like last semester, I had a lot of fun talking to new people about their experiences and like what they were like growing up and just different things like that.
It's kind of like Everett said. I think one of the biggest problems that leads to misjudgment and stereotypes is a lack of knowledge of other people's identities, and like not being able to think about like their perspective and the way that they experience things, and how even though it's not your experience, it's not invalid, and it's worth trying to understand their point of view and learn from their experiences as well, to make yourself more rounded and that person as well. You guys learn from each other.
Caroline. Oh, yes.
I think being able to be completely comfortable with your own identity and then being willing to be accepting of others will be like, when you become a residential advisor, it'll be easier for residents to be willing to open up to you if they're having problems.
That's our last question, TED Talk style. Being aware of your identities, so being aware of your identities, how is being an ally possible? Griffin?
Kind of like how a lot of people have been mentioned. If you realize what privileges you have, and then kind of then vocalize how you can then help people through, like with different privileges that I have. I'm a white man. I can definitely, because I don't have to deal with a lot of the different issues that people of different races, different genders that they have to deal with. So I can then use the privilege that I have to help kind of help with them, whatever issues that they really think that they want to work on. I can help them, because then those are things that I didn't have to go through, so then I can help other people that didn't have to go through them to understand it as well.
I think if you are able to listen to other people around you and have them talk about who they are and what makes them exactly who they are, and then taking what we talked about earlier of like stepping in and being just like an advocate for everyone that you're around, you know, just being able to say, hey, that's not okay, here's why, this might, you know, like thinking about how what you're saying is impacting other people around you, and really trying to spread that throughout, whether it be like just your floor of the residence hall or the entire residence hall or the entire campus, just being able to like really support everyone that's around you and learn about everyone's privilege.
Just like being able to stand up for people that are like marginalized in a different setting than you are. Like just making sure that other people aren't putting others down because of their privilege or because of their marginalization.
Sorry, Juliana.
So, for me, an example, in Hollywood, a lot of white actresses are advocating for their black female co-workers, saying, I'm not going to work this job unless you pay them the same amount of money I am. So using your privilege to the benefit of others to work towards equality would be a great way.
That's a good example. I think also he's remembering when being an ally, it doesn't mean being the voice for that demographic. Because you can assume and see the marginalization that happens, but you have not experienced that. But I think that's a great way that Hollywood actresses are. They're like, no, I will not do this unless this person is also getting treated the same way. Because it's being an ally, but not being like the spokesperson for that situation. Joe, you have anything else to add before we jump into capstone? So now we're gonna jump into capstone questions. There we go.
Alright, so I know that, we had questions.
Class, that's okay because this is your personal identity. If you don't want to put that in on blast, we're not going to force you to. But we will ask, so think about if you're willing to or you're really not. So I'm going to go ahead and pass these out. Joey and I will. And we have about 10 minutes to fill it out. So fill out the boxes and then answer the questions.
Thank you.
Who's missing one?
Elliot. Huh? Yeah, we don't use the sticky runner. Someone's sticky somewhere. So I'll say fine, this unsticky one, we put it in place and we're gonna rock.
Do you guys have an each only one number?
Number? So you should fill into like, for race, I would put after race. And then after that, I would put like, what do I think about most often? Whichever I do.
So like she said for race, you put like certain and you put like whatever number it is. Yeah.
Does anyone have questions? Does everyone understand the will?
Basically.
Okay, so where the boxes are, so if it's like under race, I would put in black, because that's what I am. And then, so I would go through and do that for all 11 identities, and then for the questions, I was like, which one, like, do I think about on the day? It'd be based on that one, yeah. You guys, I'll take a skip these one. How are the wheels going? Are they turning? That one, I really thought I was gonna have a bigger. I would love it. Are they turning? So forced. No, I appreciate it. First one real slow. Sometimes it's gonna be a little weird. It's weird sometimes. So we're gonna give around 2 more minutes. 2 more minutes. There's not a wrong answer. This is all based on your personal experience. So hopefully it takes away some of those questions. Huh? No, it doesn't. I am not going back to that thing. I'm already in debt. I don't want no more. You can go.
This is like the socio.
Sally Mae is already calling me. She called me talking about.
There's a big difference between
EJRK.
Whichever one you identify with.
Who writes all the Honda quotes? What's his name?
It's not gonna stick. They ripped it in half. So the sticky side's like this.
Wow.
Wait, didn't you put tape up there?
Are we done? Do we need a couple more minutes? 2 more minutes? Oh, the tape? What's wrong with it? Which one?
It failed. Socioeconomic.
Oh, I'll pick that up. Put that phone for y'all.
Wait, without it.
Max, you just let the socioeconomic, that is just falling around.
You let it drop and then moved it over to my side.
Wow. I'm gonna use that.
It works.
Power of shooting. Saves lives.
So I'm gonna honestly put 2 over there.
Yeah, same.
Oh my God.
Wait, come say hi to Joey.
No, don't say that.
Oh, my name. So we're gonna go ahead and, so we thought, sounds like y'all paired. So now we're gonna share. Does anyone want to share or the identities you think about the most often? Yes, Dan.
I think about the most about my first language. I was blessed enough to kind of lose my accent, but I still think about it a lot, and especially speaking a foreign language, like even though you might be able to mask your accent, it's still a challenge to speak in a foreign language all day, every day, and it takes more brain work, if you know what I mean. So, yeah.
Just thank you for sharing. Tessa and Sarah.
I think about my sexual orientation most often just because I'm in a relationship, and so I think that just sort of like pops up because being in a relationship, that whether or not you're with someone of the same sex or a different sex, that kind of like just it makes it more prominent, I guess, because if you're in a same-sex relationship, then you are homosexual if you're in a, so it just kind of like it's there, I guess.
when you're in a relationship, you're thinking about another person more, which therefore makes you think about your sexual
Right,
orientation a
yeah,
little bit more.
like that I have a boyfriend and that I love my boyfriend, and then that makes me think, oh, I have a boyfriend and I identify as female, so then that would mean he identifies as male, that kind of is.
The intersectionality
Yes.
of two identities.
Yeah.
I think about my race and my gender the most because being in, like, of course, science, like neuroscience, I don't really see a lot of other people that look like me in that field, so it's something I'm very conscious about.
And was your hand up?
Yeah. For me, I think it would be ethnicity, religion, and like again with the first language. Coming from like being born in another country and then coming here, it's harder to like adjust to American lifestyle as well as being the first one. So it's like I learn everything firsthand.
Oh, sorry. You can take this one. Or do you want to say it? Okay. What identities do you think about Lily Stofton? That's who you look at the school, you're like, oh, I didn't really think about that. Tony.
Probably the physical and emotional development disability. Like you don't think about if you're able to do something, you just kind of do it. So like, you don't do it. You don't like put too much thought into it.
Jaya?
I think the least about my national origin because, you know, I was born and raised here, and so my family's born and raised here, so it just never crosses my mind.
Age is pops up when I can't, like, maybe 21 or something like that. Pops up every time, so it's barely crosses my mind.
Everett, I saw your name.
Yeah, I was gonna say something about age as well. I kind of feel like we're all like kind of around the same age, but I also feel like if anyone was to walk up to me, no matter what age, and they wanted, you know, sit down, have a conversation, whatever, I feel like I'd talk to anyone, you know, regardless of their age or my age.
We're gonna move to the next question. Your own, what identity would, okay, which of your own identities would you like to learn more about, Rachel?
I still with my national origin just because like I was born in China. I don't really know who my real parents are, so I'm adopted. So I guess that's like something kind of like I wish I could learn more about.
For me, it's definitely my physical, emotional, developmental disability or ability. Because just like you said, being able-bodied and being able to do a lot of things, you're not really conscious about what you do. And I feel like if I had more gratitude for the things that I take as granted every single day, I'd be a happier individual, if that makes sense. Because like just being able to do sports, I don't know what I would do without sports, but it's such a, not everybody has that ability to do sports, and like I'm just grateful that I can. So being aware of what you can do, not only what you can do.
I'll come do it. Yes.
Just lick the back of the paper and stick it up there. Don't do it.
So I was going to say the identity that I think the most about of and what I would like to learn more about would be gender, because there is a difference between gender and sex, and instead of like the common argument is that there are multiple different versions of gender other than he, him, and she, her, but I slightly disagree, and I think gender is more of a single scale of being either masculine or feminine. And as a person, I do not think of myself as an incredibly masculine man, but I also don't think of myself as an incredibly feminine man either. So I would identify as androgynous, but I'm not entirely certain exactly how that is because it's more just a personal philosophy. That's something I'd like to think about more.
I also agree with you. I believe that gender is on a spectrum, and that you can change the spectrum, like how your gender expression can maybe fluctuate how you are on that spectrum. That's just a personal, love that conversation. Next question.
What do y'all want to talk about?
Okay, yeah.
Mine. So I would like to learn more about my first language, which is English, because I don't understand it still. I don't understand why baloney is baloney and not Bologna, or cologne is not cologne. So yeah, I really do want to figure this out because I'm like, where do these words come
I know
from?
why Cologne is.
Why?
It said Cologne because of the German city of Cologne, which means in German it means Köln, and it's kind of pronounced the same way.
Wait, it means what?
And Cologne is a city in Germany, Köln, and that Cologne is, the first Cologne came out of Cologne, which is why it's pronounced Cologne.
Okay, so which identities that you have, right? Okay. What identities have the strongest effect on how you perceive yourself? There you go. Do I need to repeat it? Was it all lost in the sauce? Thank you for that answer. What identities do you believe have the strongest effect on how you perceive yourself? Yes, Sarah.
I would say age, just because there's like a lot of pressure to achieve certain goals by certain ages, and so I'm like, oh, I'm 20, like I'm coming up on that graduation age. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I would say like gender and religion, because I think that's like a lot of my personal identity and like where a lot of my thoughts and my values come from.
Is that your hand, Shay?
Yeah, I would say disability because it kind of like impacts how I go about my daily life, and it's kind of like always in the back of my brain.
Amen, sister. Amen. And then the last one, what identities do you believe have the greatest effect when you're perceiving others? On how you perceive others.
How others perceive you.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. How others perceive you. Yep. But also, I want to go back to my first question though, because that was a good question. What identities have the greatest effect on you perceiving others? So, like, what is something that pops out on this wheel when you're looking at someone? Caitlin.
Oh wait, how others perceive me? Is that what we're doing?
No, like how you perceive others.
Oh.
So, if you walk up to someone, which one do you think stands out the most?
JK, take my hand.
Okay. Both of y'all. Y'all can figure out who wants to go first.
Mine is age, because as soon as I see someone, I always try to decipher how old they are, and you know, that's just.
No. How old do you think I am?
See?
It's not supposed to be that type of conversation. No. I want to know.
She said 24.
Girl, I said a good 26.
24.
Oh, you're right on it.
Wait, do me.
Oh.
Come on, Sierra. 28.
Okay. Let's change it. Let's go back to the first question.
No, I'm about to be 27 in April.
What's your birthday in April?
420.
So what you doing on 14?
No, what's your answer? Yeah, not about the age thing.
Oh, yeah.
Next month.
I would say gender. I feel like whenever I see like I would just be less likely to approach a male than I would approach a female. I don't know why, but like if I was walking down the street and needed help, I would definitely find like a mom with a child that I would.
Have you seen the skit on the Netflix special about how women are never creepy? So it's like you can walk up. No, it made sense when I heard it. She's like, I know as a woman, if I see a cute baby, I can walk over to that mom and be like, oh my gosh, or that parent and be like, your baby is so cute. That's
I'm just playing.
But like, what would it look like if a 40-year-old man walked up to you and said, oh, you got that baby? See, you're even laughing about it because you know it would have a completely different response based on that thing right there. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I kind of read a thing about that. It's kind of when guys and girls are like, girls can kind of always ask out guys, and you know, in all different sorts of ways, and it's never like creepy or cringy or. Well, no, let me take that back. Let me take the cringy part back, but it's definitely guys have to. I feel like guys have to do a lot more.
Do you think potentially it's non-threatening? Like men don't feel as
Yes,
worried about their
maybe.
safety?
Yes, actually, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because if a woman denies a man a date, then she has to fear, will he come after me in the parking lot afterwards?
I mean, but you know what? That is true. Because people have gotten real reckless. Like, give me your number and then slap you because you say no. No, I ain't never get slapped.
Sorry, you just went from 0 to like.
No, but people really do like.
Yeah, no.
They do get mad.
Isn't that right? That's
Yeah, I feel like back to that, like you just kind of get harassed sometimes by men when you're like working and you can't leave the chair you're
You can go ahead and get moving so we have time to talk about capstones at the end. That'll be the plan. So before we jump in, the first kind of question is, who can give me a definition of privilege or what you think privilege is? Jackson.
Having advantages that you didn't earn, that were either like biologically given or just like given through birth.
That was beautiful. Does anyone else want to add anything?
Can't follow that.
Huh? You retweeted?
You can't follow that.
You can't follow it? Okay. Well, I will follow it with the official definition. Unearned access to resources of social power that are readily available to some people because of their social group membership, an advantage or an immunity granted to or enjoyed by one societal group beyond the common advantage of all other groups. Privilege is often invisible to those who have it. I think that is the big disclaimer. That's pretty much invisible if you have it. So not that it's invisible, but maybe it's not the first thing you think about. So as a person living with a non-curable disease, I always think about my disease and how it does something. But as someone who's come from a pretty higher class socioeconomic status, I don't think about, can I afford my medicine this month? I just know it's gonna be there. And if I have an issue, I can talk to my doctors, or I can talk to my mom, or I can talk to my health insurance that I have for being a working individual. So I don't really see like, oh, how, like I don't think about, am I gonna be able to get my medicine this month? It's like, it's gonna get here. If I need it, I just roll over to CVS, talk to the pharmacist, it's gonna be taken care of. Marginalization. Does anyone have a definition for that? Yeah.
A group that's subjected to oppression in a way, in my opinion.
Yeah? Okay. That was it. Okay. Anyone else got anything? Okay. So marginalization is the process of pushing a group or group of people to the edge of society. So by not allowing them to have an active voice, an identity, or a place in it, through both direct and indirect processes. Marginalized groups may be regulated to a secondary position or made to feel as if they're less important than those who hold more power and privilege in society. Some individuals identify with multiple marginalized groups and may experience further marginalization as a result of their intersecting identities. Can you tell me the definition for intersectionality? You want to give it a try, Julian? You just not right?
It's the connection between multiple groups. And I don't know. I like the saying your feminism isn't feminism unless it's intersectional. So it's the collection of a lot of different groups that connect pathways between them.
Super close,
Yeah.
like right on the ridge.
I mean, it's basically like part of what she said, but just like being part, like, so like, let's say like you're Republican, but then you're also like Catholic, you're also like bisexual, like there's a bunch of groups that like you have affiliations with that group, you know.
Yeah, so pretty much, yeah, so exactly how I'm Tony, but I cannot be Tony unless I'm a black woman, a Christian black woman. So it's the intersecting of multiple identities. So it's like you are not you unless you think about everything you put on your social identity wheel and connected it. So like what's the intersection of that? So that's intersectionality. So noticing that most of your identities may overlap. So me walking at night as a black woman, one, I'm a woman. That's just scary being on college campus. But I'm also a black woman. So thinking about when I went to grad school in Alabama, what does that look like? So there are multiple things that made me fearful of walking at night, multiple identities that played a part into how I saw certain things in the world. So what we're gonna ask now is that you take around 5 minutes to review the chart that you have, and then reflect on your social identity wheel. And then we're gonna start and kind of ask some questions. Yeah, kind of like fill in the middle too. So think about your wheel, but also fill in the middle section. Or just look at your wheel so you don't have all of it. No, just put like where do you fall. So like put which one describes it. No, so like what you'll do is kind of like look here and think about where do you fall. So age, like, look at that and then think about it more on this side. Yeah, so it's more like. So like you're younger, so you would probably want to get a visual, you could also do that. Personally, I like a good visual. You're two compared to me, okay? Two? Yes, two. So you can do it any way you want.
Is that right? You go through
Yeah, so what I would do is I would draw these and then kind of put an arrow, so like, I put an arrow that way. But that's how I would fill it out. It's your personal preference, whatever makes it easier for you to remember it.
Which one? Nuclear family. Every time I face conflicts, if people send me that in the paper, everything goes off.
Yes.
Like, is it like they're alienation? They're kind of getting 10.
Going. 2 more minutes. Reflect. Bryce, you doing okay over there? Yeah.
They just make me think a lot. Like these are really
This is why I said-
really thought provoking. Like
Good. That is the whole point.
Is anybody? Is anybody in here, gluten free, gluten intolerant?
Calhoun? Yes. I live in Calhoun. Is that what your question was?
Why are you getting
Gluten free? I swore you were like, is anyone in Calhoun? Like, do you need me to do something? I was like, I'll grab something for you. What you need, girl?
He said Calhoun. Calhoun, yes.
I live here.
I live here.
This is a serious issue. Can everyone eat gluten?
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any vegetarians in the room?
Yes. Just one.
Okay, shots vegan.
Peanut butter.
Okay.
Hey, look, I come you.
Are you vegan or vegetarian?
Oh,
So you just go ahead and go to the paper. What do you think people first notice about it?
Okay, does anyone want to share why they went to that specific identity marker? Bryce?
I went to H because I like always had a beard when I was younger too, even like through high school. So pretty often like I would run into a situation where there would be I would check into a rec center and they would be like, oh, everyone 18 and up needs to give an ID, and I would say, oh, I'm 16, and then they like wouldn't believe me, like if it was a place I'd never been before. So I guess just getting mistaken for older than I actually am.
I also want to share why they went to their identity marker. One more person, brave space, Becker.
I was gonna say gender because in my field, engineering, I feel like it's a lot more male than it is female, and just like when people like see, I don't know, when people see people in engineering, they just kind of assume that it's gonna be more male than female.
What part of your identity are you least comfortable sharing with other people?
Yeah, I would say back here. Honestly.
Okay, 2 people.
I said disability just because there are so many stigmas around it, and people automatically judge you off that if you say you have one without even getting to like learning about it.
I said religious or spiritual affiliation just because, like where I grew up and with the friends that I grew up with, a lot, if not all of my friends went to church every Sunday, you know, and I've never really had like a specific religion that I've identified with or any sort of spiritual affiliation, so I've just kind of always felt like I was just sort of, you know, there. I don't hate any one religion or anything like that, but I think it's just not always like accepted, you know, if you tell someone, oh yeah, well I don't really go to church, or like, you know, I don't pray every day or something. There are just some instances where people think that that's like horrible and that you're a horrible person because you don't identify with some sort of higher power or something like that.
Because of my heritage, I'm not religious in like the traditional sense. I'm more spiritual, and some of the rituals and ceremonies I do in honor of my heritage, people just like will look at me and be like, "Oh, you just witchcraft." It's really weird.
I said national origin just because, like, I mean, obviously I already told all of you guys, but like I don't really know my background, so like that's just kind of like a weird topic to like talk to people about, I guess.
Go ahead, you can take it.
So socioeconomic class, it's not something that only comes with trying a badge, but it's something I don't think is necessary to how we make friendships or create bonds with people, because how rich or the lack of that you are should determine how friendly you are with people or the interaction you make.
With religious or spiritual affiliation, I just personally, I don't honestly even know what I believe in with like a higher power. So anytime it's brought up, I just feel kind of awkward because I don't know what I believe in and I haven't really figured it out yet. So I just kind of feel awkward.
We're gonna transition to the next question. Thanks for sharing.
What part of your identity did you struggle the most with growing up?
No options. Time this time.
Who wants to share? Dana?
I didn't really struggle with language. It's more of like where I went to school, like growing up, I was like surrounded by people who didn't speak the same language as me, so they would constantly ask me like, say something in your language. So it was just a little.
Mine is socioeconomic status because where I come from is like a little small town in Arkansas, and I had 2 doctors as parents, so it was just always like nitpicky, or you have this and you have that, and like it was just like it was like a stigma, and it always made me uncomfortable to talk about or to relate to anybody with.
Yeah, mine is also socioeconomic status because my parents are not by any means rich, but we're like, I would say, moderate to lower middle class people. But the last couple of years, like a while ago, like 10 years, my parents were going through a divorce and went through a pretty rough time financially. And so I was like, you know, my friends always had like the newest stuff, and I was kind of sitting there, I still had the older stuff. My parents would tell me like, oh, it's fine, and back then I was mature enough to understand that too. but it was still kind of like, they always had the newest stuff, and I didn't. And it was kind of a struggle a little bit. And also the one thing that a lot of people stereotype is they automatically assume that most international students are rich because they come from a foreign country and it costs a lot of money to get your visa to fly over here and all that stuff, but that's not true.
I said age because I've always been like a little bit younger for my grade. So like with that, I've kind of had like the reputation of being ignorant, or I don't know, not as well. I've ended up actually being more mature, and with that came like higher standards with like family and stuff like that.
Our next question: what part of your identity are you most proud of?
Is this bad if I go?
Does anyone want to? Yeah.
For me, I don't see like a lot of Native women and anywhere around. A lot of Native Americans are really oppressed and they have a lot of issues, and the governments or any social or government people don't recognize it. And so I'm really proud to like spread my knowledge to others if I can.
Elliot.
Socioeconomic status. I said that because I feel like where I was from, I did not have like a lot of money growing up, but I feel like from that, after like working multiple jobs to just help like my mom pay rent, and also make enough money to go to a place like UC, like a bigger school, I'm pretty proud that from where I began, I worked my way up to become much better off.
I said age just because I had to grow up quickly, younger, and so I'm just proud of how mature I became as like I didn't have that time to just be willy-nilly, I guess. But so yeah, I'm just proud of I aged gracefully.
I would say my race because all throughout grade school I went to a predominantly white, school and whatnot, and it was like, this was also what I struggled with the most, trying to fit in with other people who didn't look like me, who didn't have the same, beliefs, and as I got older, it's like, this is it, like, this is me, so I feel like I'm most proud of it now.
Everett.
I was just gonna say national origin, particularly in my hometown, just because I love my hometown and where I came from. It's more of like a rural type town, and people always ask like, well, what are you gonna do when what are your plans when you graduate, or where are your plans to co-op, or like stuff like that. And I always say like my first number one option is to go back home and co-op near home, just because I love where I'm from.
Yeah, I chose this instead of this just because historically speaking, it's bad when you say that when you're proud of being German, that does not have a good annotation, historically speaking. And this is why I picked my language, my first language, because when people, I don't remember, I think you said it, when people walk up to me, like, oh, say this in your language, no, it happens a lot, like almost every day. Like at first I got really annoyed, but now like I kind of like it because it's, they show interest in your culture and your language. And I'm happy, like to tell them words, and they're like try to say it, and I think it's kind of funny and kind of cute how they like try to pronounce these difficult words.
I think it just took me a long time to accept myself, so now that I have, I'm proud of the progress I made.
What part of your identity do you know? What part of your identity is least important to you?
Showing to others or just personally important to you?
Least important. Or least important to you.
Okay.
Your identity is least important to you.
certain age to be a kind and accepting person, you know. I think that when you get to a point of feeling like you kind of have found who you are and who you want to be and the way that you want to treat other people and interact with other people, I think that as you age, that's not going to change for the worse, I guess. You can always make yourself better, but I think once you've gotten to a point where you're comfortable, then age is but a number, you know.
I said age because it's like if I don't like my age, it'll change in less than a year. And it like won't impact me all that much. But some things like disability, like gonna have it for the rest of my life. So like I feel like it's less impactful.
Matt?
I'm an English speaker in an English country, and so I've never really seen the impact of my language at all because I've never been in a place where the language was any different. Even though when I was a kid, I would have nightmares about waking up in a foreign country and not being able to communicate and ask for help because I didn't speak their language. So I've always been just like, I'm okay with being in an English-speaking country unless I can learn a different language first.
Don't get me wrong, gender is important to me, but I think sexism is a really big problem in the world right now. I think we should treat everyone equally, and I've grown up being male and whatnot and doing male activities, but I think you take it for granted. If you were born female, you do female activities, and that's how you would live. So.
Okay, next question. For what part of your identity do you feel least comfortable with at UC?
Sorry. By me.
Yeah, that's exactly why.
That's racist. I'm gonna come stand here for that.
Okay.
Okay. Let's, I actually want
You do too. Us too.
Yep.
So I mean, I think it's pretty apparent why race is important to me. I think considering I'm in a different country, your race just kind of stands out to different people, and the areas around UC aren't probably the safest. And people have stereotypes and prejudices against you if you're not white, and I think it isn't safe for you to speak out, even if there's something you don't agree with, because you're, I guess, in danger of being, I don't know, you could get violent or something, I don't know.
No, you're definitely right, especially based on the history
Yeah.
at UC.
So, like, I get like the whole negative, like racism with people of color and white people, but what I think sometimes people neglect is that there are prejudices and stereotypes against white people as well. Not saying that like it should be on the same level, but that's something that's just a little bit ignored. And like as a white person, yeah, I get like I don't have to think about my race a lot, but when I'm put in predominantly colored atmospheres, I think about my race too. And like I am able to notice the differences and grow from that in different ways as well. So like just because I'm white doesn't mean I don't ever think about my race.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the atmosphere at UC was so amazing that I did not feel like ease comfortable in sharing, so that's why I'm standing in the middle.
I like it.
Love it.
He doesn't feel uncomfortable.
At the age, because like I said before, like you know the neighbor conversation, I'm a freshman, and I know I've done a lot before. I'm pretty waiting for maybe to get a year older for someone to actually listen to me. How much I've done.
I was just kind of the same. Like I just feel like I'm like I just turned 18. Like I'm really young.
Woo!
So I don't really know.
Yeah.
One of the things I've always had like the most uncomfortable time with since coming here is I work 3 jobs on top of my school load, and so I want to try and do as much as I can to be like a perfect student, like all of my other friends. They're like all really, really great grades, but I feel like a disappointment because I know that they think I'm not a good student because I don't have as much time to spend on school because I can't, because I have to work so much.
I said age just because of certain like stigmas against college students and like certain activities, you know. Like I feel like if I ever talk to someone, I'm not someone that like, and I know that there's probably people in here are probably like, oh well, you're just saying that, but like I've never had any sort of alcohol ever in my life. Like that's not a thing that I want to do. And you know, you go somewhere like to the doctor and they ask you like, do you drink or whatever, and you say never, and they're like, oh, a college student that doesn't drink. But you know, like, I just think there's sort of a stigma against like, you go to college, that's what happens. Like you start drinking, partying, going out, all this different stuff. And so I think like sometimes it would be nice to just be like older so that people aren't looking at you going, well, you're a college student that's doing this and that or whatever. You know?
I said gender just because being on a college campus, identifying as a woman, you kind of face some more dangerous challenges and things like that. You just have to be more aware and like more conscious of yourself when you're out and walking and like not walking alone at night and things like that.
I feel like constantly I'm asked to explain myself to other people because it's like I'm going down during fire drills with a hedgehog and then I have 45 people asking me if I'm allowed to have my hedgehog, what the hedgehog does, and then like whenever I'm not in the classroom during an exam, I get like 15 texts telling me, why weren't you at the test today? I'm gonna take my test in a different room. And I have to explain that to people or be like, just cause whether people are just kind of like nosy and you go about your life in a different way.
Next time that happens, ask me to drink water today. You know what I'm doing. Did you drink water?
Yeah.
Oh.
What part of your identity to you?
At least. This was
proud of, I think.
question.
Stop emotion. Part of students most often see affecting with you or peers. Did y'all get that? Can you repeat it once? Part of you most often see with you.
Oh my gosh.
If I walk up to you, stop me from talking to you.
Believe in us?
I just want y'all to know I've learned, like, God, I really want to know why to get old and nothing pettiness. Because you know, people, oh, with, no. That to determine that was, no. I done know people who I'm like,
Okay.
She
are
the
I
head.
have an example. So in class on Monday, this was a Wednesday, the professor was discussing it and she was like, what is leaning to it? And part of my language, but he goes, and I was like, excuse me? Like, I'm explaining something to a friend and like, but white man turned the fuck up. And I'm like, oh, I'm a my mouth.
I feel like that's kind of because you're like, oh, like now, like you don't have it that because I'm like a third or fourth. I'm sure it gets harder, but like so like.
I don't know if y'all have heard of like talking to someone in the jobs I've had. I'll give one of my early prophets and they come to me and I'm like,
Yeah. Definition. There's a difference between genders. Most of the things, because I don't want to call people out, biological parts. So if you look for they're a female, gender would be everything else. Because a lot of the like specifically sex term get mad about that. I woman who has been like involved in it. Some people find they will say this is my which is not the same thing.
I said gender go in the rec and workout like most of you probably parts where it's like that's the only spot like you can't use a squat bar like and it's like so like I was like squatting like so many behind me and like come on like you're a girl blah blah blah. So annoying to have to stand there waiting on you and we'll take a bar from you or like I work out doing you don't need to show that.
Last question.
They expect you to be like 30 or like, or if I just said like, or something serious.
identity do you affect on your interaction with peers?
That was actually really fun. I was in Kentucky over the weekend. My good friend, we're driving back yesterday about different stuff, and we coffee and how you drink your coffee. But told me, yeah, oh yeah, I like to drink my coffee. I said, yeah, I just like to drink my coffee, which apparently is not a thing here. Like just like usual. That's so weird. I'm like, I guess yeah, that's definitely your main thing. So no, but like that's just like that happens all like. Because I'll just pronounce it wrong, and they're like, dude, what? And they just look at me like third arm, and I'm like, oh my, and then like, come on, you don't need one of my mistakes. Just you understood what I meant.
I said like religious just because like I was raised Catholic. I have like the set standards and like interact with others. Like, yeah.
Because I think it goes back to whether or not because you're too young or whatever. Now I'm on track to work predominantly female pathologist, so gender piece for me that I would foresee, but in the sense that if you're only in your first year out of grad, you really might know you're like leaving.
So the question was about one of my jobs. I'm a server. If you ever want to hear like in food business, I get asked customers and like I don't know how this. It seems like I don't understand. I'm just taking your orders. It's really they think I don't speak English. They label me as everything but what I. It's kind of what happens in food business. Oh my God, this one, do your parents own this? Because like Subway, so a lot of them been here. So it's like, no, they don't own it, and then it's bad.
Well, everyone, thank you. Reflect back on these questions, spot, but also bridge that went with walking about what are from someone who's on the. Always remember that your feelings are valid. Doesn't agree with them doesn't mean the experiences. They have the same level of marginalization, but remember they're your experience. Your experience is either well, and that's important. Go back to their seat. That would We can go ahead and get moving so we have time to talk about capstones at the end. That'll be the plan. So before we jump in, the first kind of question is, who can give me a definition of privilege or what you think privilege is? Jackson.
Having advantages that you didn't earn, that were either like biologically given or just like given through birth.
That was beautiful. Does anyone else want to add anything?
Can't follow that.
Huh? You retweeted?
You can't follow that.
You can't follow it? Okay. Well, I will follow it with the official definition. Unearned access to resources, so social power, that are readily available to some people because of their social group membership, an advantage or an immunity granted to or enjoyed by one societal group beyond the common advantage of all other groups. Privilege is often invisible to those who have it. I think that is the big disclaimer. That's pretty much invisible if you have it. So not that it's invisible, but maybe it's not the first thing you think about. So as a person living with a non-curable disease, I always think about my disease and how it does something. But as someone who's come from a pretty higher class socioeconomic status, I don't think about, can I afford my medicine this month? I just know it's gonna be there. And if I have an issue, I can talk to my doctors, or I can talk to my mom, or I can talk to my health insurance that I have for being a working individual. So I don't really see like, oh, how, like I don't think about, am I gonna be able to get my medicine this month? It's like, it's gonna get here. If I need, I just roll over to CVS, talk to the pharmacist, it's gonna be taken care of. Marginalization. Does anyone have a definition for that? Yeah.
A group that's subjected to oppression in my opinion.
Yeah? Okay. That was it. Anyone else got anything? Okay. So marginalization is the process of pushing a group or group of people to the edge of society. So by not allowing them to have an active voice, an identity, or a place in it, through both direct and indirect processes. Marginalized groups may be regulated to a secondary position or made to feel as if they're less important than those who hold more power and privilege in society. Some individuals identify with multiple marginalized groups and may experience further marginalization as a result of their intersecting identities. Can you tell me the definition for intersectionality? You want to give it a try, Jordan? You just not right?
It's the connection between multiple groups, and I like the saying your feminism isn't feminism unless it's intersectional. So it's the collection of a lot of different groups that connect pathways between them.
Super close,
Yeah.
like right
Yeah.
on the ridge.
I mean, it's basically like part of what you said, but just like being part, like, so like, let's say like you're Republican, but then you're also like Catholic, you're also like bisexual, like there's a bunch of groups that like you have affiliations with that group, you know.
Yeah, so pretty much, yeah, so exactly how I'm Tony, but I cannot be Tony unless I'm a black woman, a Christian black woman. So it's the intersecting of multiple identities. So it's like you are not you unless you think about everything you put on your social identity wheel and connected it. So like what's the intersection of that? So that's intersectionality. So noticing that multiple of your identities may overlap. So me walking at night as a black woman, one, I'm a woman. That's just scary being on college campus. But I'm also a black woman. So thinking about when I went to grad school in Alabama, what does that look like? So there are multiple things that made me fearful of walking at night, multiple identities that played a part into how I saw certain things in the world. So what we're gonna ask now is that you take around 5 minutes to review the chart that you have, and then reflect on your social identity wheel. And then we're gonna start and kind of ask some questions. Yeah, kind of like fill in the middle too. So think about your wheel, but also fill in the middle section. Or just look through it so you don't have all that on it. No, just put like where do you fall. So like put which one describes it. No, so like what you'll do is kind of look here and think about where do you fall. So age, like look at that and then think about are you on this side? Okay. Yeah, so So like you're younger, so you would probably want to take visuals, you can also do that. Personally, I like a good visual. You're two compared to me. Okay. Two? Yes, two. So you can do it any way you want.
Is that right? You go
Yeah, so what I would do is I would through all these and then kind of put an arrow, so like, try to put an arrow that way. But that's how I would fill it out. It's your personal preference, whatever makes it easier for you to remember it. Which
Yes.
Keep going. 2 more minutes. Reflect. Bryce, you doing okay over there? Yeah.
They just make me think a lot. Like these are
This is what I said.
really thought provoking. Like.
Good. That is the whole point.
Is anybody? Is anybody in here gluten free, gluten intolerant?
Calhoun? Yes. I live in Calhoun. Is that what your question was?
No. Are you gluten free?
Gluten free? I swore you were like, is anyone in Calhoun like, do you need me to do something else? Like, I'll grab something for you. What you need, girl?
He said Calhoun. Calhoun, yes.
I live here.
I live here.
This is a serious issue. Can everyone eat gluten?
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any vegetarians in the room?
Yes. Just one.
Okay, shop vegan.
Peanut butter.
Okay.
Hey, so why come on you?
Are you vegan or vegetarian?
Oh, yeah, you're a little
Yeah. FYI, when you become an RA, do not say dorm.
You live in a residence hall. If you say dorm, pack your bags. It was good knowing you.
Don't say cafeteria, say dining hall.
You're gonna get a lot of points off. If you put. So if you're looking at your website, say, I live in this dorm, use residence hall. Makes me my heart beat. So a dorm is like a place where you, a residence hall is a place where you build community, live, and learn from others. And we use a residential curriculum. So I'll bet you what, dorm doesn't use residential curriculum.
Okay. Traditional residence is that kids are making
Baby.
I gotta get my kids together.
No, a lot of people say that, and a lot of people said that during interview weekend, which made me think, I'm like, you know, the kids, the first year kids, I'm like, how old are you, sir?
They're adults. They're 18.
They are residents, yes, Zach.
Some of them will be older than you, so they will not enjoy being called kids at all. So, young.
Okay, so, let's transition. Is everyone done? Okay, so what are your identity, looking over, do you feel like you have, most of your identities kind of make you more privileged, more marginalized, or you're more so like 50-50? Like, where do you think you fall when looking at yours?
Privilege.
Can you work with that?
I have 14 privilege and 8 marginalized.
SJ.
I was kind of in the middle. I was like 10 privileged, 12 marginalized, so I feel like that's pretty close.
Chris?
Actually, I had the exact same kind, so I was very privileged.
Kayla?
I'd say privileged. I had 15 privileged.
Were there, I'll ask this later, do I want to go later? That's your question.
How do you feel about your identities having privileged and or marginalized membership? Ashley?
It doesn't really bother me like what they're labeled as, because to me, I just kind of think of like, oh, I have this challenge to face, and then I face it, and I try not to think about the reason why I have that challenge. So like personally, when I'm going about my daily life, it doesn't bother me.
Some of these I wouldn't even consider to be marginalized because my parents are divorced, but I never thought that put me at a disadvantage. Because like, if you I still have both my parents. They just didn't live together.
Yeah, I also think that some of these are impact an individual way more than others. So let's say I think race it would impact an individual more than work style maybe. Or work style is pretty important, but let's say maybe size.
Do you think that, I would counter your statement and say that I think it's completely based off the lived experience.
That's true. Like it's also very situational, so you can't ever generalize. But in certain that's what I'm trying to get at. Like in certain situations, some of these things weigh more than others. Well, in other situations, it's the opposite.
Yeah, I think it's based on the individual. Yeah. Matt.
To build more on what they just said, like, I didn't know that being creative was considered marginalized, but the last, like, specifically the last one just feels a little wonky to me, because, like, I feel some of the ideas of being analytical versus creative, it's more of like, why can't I do both?
Sarah?
I was gonna say that, this is kind of good just for like if you got a certain category, reading the other category and how that would affect people you interact with and how that like their experience might be different from yours. And it just kind of makes you more aware of the others around you. That's cool. Jackson?
So I pretty much like fit like the privileged group to a T basically. Like pretty much everything. So it kind of like makes these, I don't know, it kind of makes these topics like a little uncomfortable for me, just because like I feel like it's just like not my place to like, I don't know, like it's hard to like I am very proud of like who I am, and like I wouldn't consider myself like a sheep. Like I would say like I am a pretty like, I don't know, I have a very strong like individual, but like I feel like it's also like not, it's almost like wrong of me to like say that I'm proud about like some of this stuff, which is like kind of weird, but I don't know.
Well, I will say to that is remember the video. Privilege isn't the bad thing. It's not acknowledging that. And so the fact that you're acknowledging the discomfort is a huge step that some people in their privilege haven't made. And like when I say some people, like myself included, like not realizing, oh, this certain thing is the reason why I don't think about X, Y, and Z.
I think I might have like misspoke a little bit, like as if it's like hard on me, because like it's not. I don't like I don't want to like sound like that. But yeah, that's just kind of like how I feel it. Like it's almost like not my place a little bit.
Well, I was gonna say when she said like it's you can't feel bad about having a privilege because you're kind of like born with it, but you have to like be aware of like what the other challenges that people face, and you have to like try and like do your best to like not afflict those challenges.
And that's beautiful. And also think about, I definitely forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, yes. Think about your, like, if you are the privileged group, think about what does your silence say in that conversation. So if you are a privileged person, and we're like, if we're having a discussion about money, and like family background, and as someone who like comes from like a pretty good family lifestyle, I'm not participating in that conversation. What does that say? Is my silence invalidating the person who's sharing their experience, or is it validating their experience? So think about, sometimes silence has a larger impact than actually speaking up. So think about navigating that. And it's not an easy navigation. I'm not gonna say like every time you need to throw in your personal experience, but I think thinking through, what is the impact of my silence? Why am I not responding right now? What does that say?
I would imagine that, like, depending on the situation, as either two options, either that the person I'm talking to, or if I'm the person being silent, either like the person I'm talking to, or if I'm the person and I'm being silent, that it could be viewed as either they're listening or they just don't care about what you have to say.
So were there any of them that you felt really surprised about where you fell? That you like did and you're like, wow, I was not expecting that.
I wasn't expecting the fact that, you know, that not having children was marginalized, because I feel like not having kids is very free. So I thought it would be privileged, but that's what it is.
Caitlin?
I was gonna say like the first generation to go to college, because like I'm a first generation college student, and so like to me like that's privileged that I even get to attend college at all, and that I took the first step out of like all of my family to go to college. So like to me that doesn't seem like it's on the right spectrum, and that was kind of like shocking.
The creative and analytical again, because I didn't really see. I understand the extrovert, because businesses kind of want you to be more open and talk to people instead of being an introvert. But I never saw creatives like marginalized, and it's just like kind of creative by it.
I feel like seeing like the students being in the marginalized group. I mean, like, there's a big difference between president and students, but I thought more so like students would still be like privileged, like being able to get that education is not really, I don't know.
Okay. I guess if you think about the hierarchy of the campus right now, so if you, like, I really want a golf cart. I want one so bad on this campus. But I'm not President Pinto, not Dean Guardia, I'm not even the director of Red. I don't think they do, but I feel like if they ask for it, they could get one. But like thinking about like through the hierarchy of the, what am I trying to say?
Visuals.
University, yeah, more so the power structure that you're in. Who holds that hierarchy? Does university? You like the thing, like you do have that, you know, thinking like the completely switch, the marginalized or privileged. What is your first privilege?
Being English speaking is a vitally important society now. We take for granted, but not many people countries isn't easy for them to communicate, so to speak. So.
I think my first memory would be for my friends witness their parents go through the bullet and see like how.
Tony?
In like 2008 when that's like my cousin, like I didn't have to of that, and that I understand, like I was like staying in my house.
Kind of like that, because like I lived 3, so like I never, that was all I knew, like, and like all of my, so like going to like like they have 2 8, like that was just like so it's not normal. It's just y'all share a bathroom, like own bathrooms, like that was like opener for me.
Is it easy every day to have it?
If you're able to realize that it's not always bad, you know, be with other people who privilege or may not have it, like, that it is, I think
just like I think about it a lot. Like if I'm stressed in the summer and I'm like on a walk in my neighborhood, I can. I'm not exactly thinking like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen when I'm on this walk? Of course, there's still like safety concerns for everyone, but like I just like I think about like, oh well, if like I was a girl or if a girl just wanted to walk by herself at night, like that's a whole different situation. It's like weird to think about.
I believe it's harder to identify with your privilege when people discredit you for your hard work. And it made me think of a quote that Von Miller said. He was like, I may have been born with that physique being an NFL player, but don't ever discredit me for all my hard work because that's why I'm staying here today. And I absolutely love that quote because people look at you and they will put you in a certain group immediately. They don't know your backstory, they don't know how many jobs you worked, they don't know how much hard work you put in to be where you are today.
For me, like, it was a denial thing, like, more than anything. Like, I tried, like, denying it because it was almost embarrassing to watch. Kind of like he said, like, it was just, like, it's embarrassing to, like, watch other people and see other people, like, struggle and see how hard they have to work for money, and, like, you get everything handed to you. Like, it's obviously not, like, my fault, but, like, it's just hard seeing that and being like, no, like, I don't want that. Like, I'd rather have it the other way around, and, like, you really don't know how grateful you are, and, like, sometimes it's taken for granted, especially, like, watching other people, like, not have, and, like I said, like, have to work extra hard, and, like, both your parents have to work and stuff like that.
It's kind of easy because I grew up in a place where people thought I would be normally marginalized in most of the categories. I would typically look like I'm being marginalized, but I'm privileged, and I see, like, my friends don't have both parents, but I have both of my parents there. We have a big family, so they helped us out with finances, but we're still, like, in the lower working class. But I see all marginalized pretty much all the time, so I'm pretty grateful for all my privileges.
How could your identities influence community building? How can your identities influence community building? Okay.
Help just kind of bring like other people, like give them, make them aware of other identities that they weren't as familiar with, like just activities, other activities. So they just kind of like saw, like, oh, I didn't think that was like an issue or like a big topic. So just like being yourself and presenting that to other people who are probably different from you, just have a few things that are different from you. That just brings awareness about it.
Oh, Everett.
I was gonna say something about the area that I'm from isn't extremely like culturally and racially diverse. So like coming to UC, I was like more so presented with the opportunity to bond and talk to people of other cultures, and like that was one of the most enjoying. Like last semester, I had a lot of fun talking to new people about their experiences and like what they were like growing up and just different things like that.
It's kind of like Everett said. I think one of the biggest problems that leads to misjudgment and stereotypes is a lack of knowledge of other people's identities, and like not being able to think about like their perspective and the way that they experience things, and how even though it's not your experience, it's not invalid, and it's worth trying to understand their point of view and learn from their experiences as well to make yourself more rounded and that person as well. You guys learn from each other.
Caroline. Oh, yes.
I think being able to be completely comfortable with your own identity and then being willing to be accepting of others will be like, when you become a residential advisor, it'll be easier for residents to be willing to open up to you if they're having problems.
This is our last question, TED Talk style. Being aware of your identities, so being aware of your identities, how is being an ally possible? Griffin?
Kind of like how a lot of people have been mentioned. If you realize what privileges you have and then kind of then vocalize how you can then help people through, like, with different privileges that I have, I'm a white man, I can definitely, because I don't have to deal with a lot of the different issues that people of
different races, different genders that they have to deal with, so I can then use the privilege that I have to help kind of help with them whatever issues that they really think that they want to work on. I can help them because then those are things that I didn't have to go through, so then I can help other people that didn't have to go through them to understand it as well.
I think if you are able to listen to other people around you and have them talk about who they are and what makes them exactly who they are, and then taking what we talked about earlier of like stepping in and being just like an advocate for everyone that you're around, you know, just being able to say, hey, that's not okay, here's why, this might, you know, like thinking about how what you're saying is impacting other people around you and really trying to spread that throughout, whether it be like just your floor of the residence hall or the entire residence hall or the entire campus, just being able to like really support everyone that's around you and learn about it.
Just like being able to stand up for people that are like marginalized in a different setting than you are. Like just making sure that other people aren't putting others down because of their privilege or because of their marginalization.
Sorry, I'll be honest.
So, for me, an example, in Hollywood, a lot of white actresses are advocating for their black female co-workers, saying, I'm not going to work this job unless you pay them the same amount of money I am. So using your privilege to the benefit of others to work towards equality would be a great way.
That's a good example. I think also just remembering when being an ally, it doesn't mean being the voice for that demographic. Because you can assume and see the marginalization that happens, but you have not experienced that. But I think that's a great way that Hollywood actresses are like, no, I will not do this unless this person is also being treated the same way. Because it's being an ally, but not being like the spokesperson for that situation. Joe, do you have anything else to add for jumping to capstone? So now we're going to jump into capstone questions. Oh, there we go.
Alright, so I know that we had questions.
Just take your read on it, some light reading material. Take one test on your phone.
So I just wanted to show you.
Some light reading material just about patterns. Take one, pass it around.
So I just wanted to show you like a little example of what your capstone can look like. I know there was a question about, who emailed me? And what was the question? Oh. It was about like the leader, where do the certain,
I emailed you about the professional. The one where you're supposed to put our performance.
yeah, so for that, you basically are going to like take your paper, so you should have like a little bubble. So it should be like this. So you should be putting leadership, inclusion, learning, and community all like in their own separate bubble, and then you'll upload your different papers and the grades to that. Now regarding the grades, because I know that y'all asked about that. If you have papers still missing, I will have those in my office on Friday. I can't leave till 5 o'clock. So I will set aside a certain time and email you what time you can come and get them. That way Monday you're not trying to rush and upload. So Friday you will get a chance to grab those because it's just simple upload. But I don't want nothing to go wrong on Monday when you have to present. So Friday I'll have office hours. You can come get them from me. So Alexis is going to finish grading today. I think Tony has a few she needs to finish up, and then I'll collect them and you can get them from me. Yes.
I just want to make sure you said you'll just email us when that time will be done.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And so, I know like on the papers you got back today, it says advanced, intermediate, developing, not developing. So that, I know Griffin, you asked me about that. So your papers should say that, and the ones that you will get will say like advanced, intermediate, developing, not developing. So you can also include that.
So if our first papers that we got back didn't have that on there,
It's
should
fine.
we
It's just because I didn't know about it.
If your first papers don't have that,
Should we just-
come to me after class.
I also want to say about capstone stuff. I will have office hours on Monday at 4 o'clock in Calhoun lobby. If you are struggling, feel free to send me an email. I'd be happy to set up an appointment with you to go over things, help you out, give advice, etc. So feel free to reach out. I'm also a teacher.
Don't wait till Monday. So what questions do you have besides the two that I just, yeah?
Would there be any other days you could pick it up and do?
You can't do Friday?
No, I work.
Gotcha. If Alexis can get it to me early Thursday, can you do Thursday?
I can do.
Okay. So we'll try for Thursday, yes.
Is this offer extended to others that also have work?
Sure. Yes.
Check.
What part of the website exactly are we presenting?
So you'll be presenting on your takeaways.
And this is grad school, so don't get careful like this. So yeah, you're about me. I think a lot of, let me find another example, just so you know.
Daniel and Umberto.
I forgot my question again. I'll come right back.
So let's be about to Bryce.
How extensive should like our takeaways be for them? Like how in depth do you want to say?
You got 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So,
But
we got
3 minutes to tell us, but it needs to be detailed
On the
in your,
website.
On the
yeah.
website, that's, so it should be like, well, I guess what are we talking for like on the website?
So I think it says like 3 to 5 takeaways that you've had from the class. Again, like we can say it needs to be 3 paragraphs, it needs to be this long. That's your personal preference.
Don't write a
But
sentence.
yeah, don't write a sentence. But I think figuring out how do you want to sell yourself? Is that where you really want to do a lot of your pitch, like throw out your pitch,
Right.
or is that like a quick hitter? So figuring out like where do you really want to talk about what you've learned with each core value? Do you want to talk about I forgot something like another component? So we can't tell you like how long it has to be because it's your website. But I think figuring out that for yourself and thinking about the whole layout of your website, like what do I really want to people to remember when they look at Frankly Work? Dan, did you hear your question? Or was that
it was that question.
you understand what I'm saying?
So as you can see, oh,
Is your dress code?
Oh, for next week?
Yeah.
Joey?
yes. It's a presentation, so I ain't saying you gotta get fancy, but at least look decent. I'm not saying you need makeup, hair curl, all that, but like a nice shirt and pants or skirt and shoes would be nice. Kind of like interview weekend, but you ain't gotta. Yeah.
Like an interview weekend, like went down half a step.
Business comfortable.
Business comfortable.
It's like black pants.
Business casual, some.
Yes,
I mean, it doesn't matter the color of the pants.
I like dress pants.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't matter.
I mean, I can't.
They can be gray, they can be burgundy, cute.
Keep habits.
Don't make your bios like tremendously long. I'm trying to show you examples like, people on here.
Okay.
Well, she has a lot of pictures of herself. Oh, okay. Socks. So she has no words. That's nice.
But how do I know about her mission? Let's see mission statement.
Oh yeah, she has her goals and all those great things. So, just make it as fancy as you want to. But these are just some examples because I know people were kind of confused. Are there any more questions regarding capstone?
Create a website.
Yep. Oh. So yeah, it can be as colorful as you want. It can be as many pictures as you want. But just make sure you really do